What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. Please do me a favor, smash that like button, and if you get anything from the video, subscribe. We all assume that Bryan Kohberger is going to face that good old DP, right? They even put in an express lane right after he was caught so that if they don't have the medicine to do it, they can use a bullet. We all assume that Bryan Kohberger is trying to find a way to turn in a plea to get that off the table if he is indeed guilty, right? He does not want to have to face the death penalty, obviously. I mean, maybe he does, but most people wouldn't. You would assume that people are trying to get away from the death penalty at the very least, right? So when people are talking about strategy, to me, that's what they're talking about. If he ends up being guilty, is he getting the death penalty? You know, they had 60 days from arraignment where they request the death penalty, right? Have they not done it yet? If it's so obvious, why not go ahead and, yeah, we're doing the death penalty. We're seeking the death penalty. I don't know if Bill Thompson, the prosecutor in the case, plans to seek the death penalty. Why? Because he doesn't. He hasn't. Let's read this article real quick. Idaho's death penalty faces its own morality. John Lee sought out his victims in 3 locations: an office building, a private residence, and a fast food restaurant. Killed in the melee were his landlord, David M. Trail, his adoptive mother, Terry L. Grzyblik, it's you tell me, I don't know, and Moscow Arby's manager Belinda G. Neighbor. Lee also left Trail's client, Michael M. Chen, wounded at the office building. For Idaho, that's so shocking a level of homicide that it borders on the unique. Most of Idaho's murder cases involve a single victim. If there are more, the violence is limited to 1 or 2 crime scenes. Had Lee's crimes occurred 20 years ago or more, Idaho Prosecutor Bill Thompson probably would have sought the death penalty. The community would have insisted. But Friday, Thompson took capital punishment off the table. Lee offered an Alford plea to the first-degree murder charges and 1 count of aggravated assault convictions that could lead to life behind bars when he's formally sentenced on May 24th. In his brief to 2nd District Judge John Stegner, Thompson cited these grounds. Ever since the U.S. Supreme Court put the choice of life or death in the hands of jurors instead of judges, the process has become fraught with uncertainty. Thompson could argue Lee's disregard for human life warranted his execution, but jurors might have been swayed by the fact that the defendant had no prior criminal record and suffered from a psychological disorder resulting in paranoia, delusions, and other impairments of thought. Even if the death sentence were imposed at great expense to the county, the odds that Lee would be executed were remote. Since Idaho restored capital punishment in 1977, 40 people have been sentenced to die. Only 3 have suffered from that punishment, and 1, Keith Eugene Wells, dropped his appeals and went willingly to his execution. Another 5 died of natural causes waiting for the execution that never came. 3, Donald Paradise, Charles Irwin Fain, and Thomas Henry Gibson were freed on new evidence. Another 21 had their sentence of death lifted on appeal. To the victims' families, decades of appeals mean a frustrating lack of closure. Not mentioned in Thompson's brief, but equally clear that in those appeals would add up to millions of dollars in legal fees for the taxpayer. Follow the logic of Thompson's brief and you'll uncover a few more details. The 7 men and 1 woman still on Idaho's death row have been confined for an average of 21 years. The longest serving death row inmate has been there 33 years. Ada County can afford to pursue capital punishment. 5 of the 8 Idaho death row inmates were convicted there, but only 2 cases came from the counties where population below 20,000. No one convicted of murder in Idaho within the past decade has drawn the death sentence. During that time, juries or judges have limited themselves to reimposing death penalties on defendants whose original sentences had been overturned on appeal. And what's been the reaction to the Thompson decision? Where are the protests? Who's calling for Thompson's political scalp? Where are the letters to the editor opposing prosecutor's decision? There are none, because in Idaho, as elsewhere, people have come to see capital punishment's flaws. The innocent wind up convicted and sentenced to die. Admitted serial murders, notably Green River Killer Gary Leon Ridgway, Charles Manson, and Aurora, Colorado movie theater James Eagle Holmes, draw life sentences. It's random. For 2014, the last year on record, there were 14,249 murders committed in the United States. That year, 73 people received the death penalty, half of them in California, Florida, and Texas, and 35 executions were conducted. 3 states, Texas, Missouri, and Florida, carried out 28 of those. That's down, by the way. Executions hit a peak of 98 in 1999. And the number of death sentences issued has been failing since 1996, which it reached 315. What's rising is the number of states that have washed their hands of this business. It's now up to 18 plus 4 where governors have imposed personal moratoriums for the length of their tenure. Included in that group is Washington's Jay Inslee. This fall, voters in Nebraska will decide whether to retain their legislators' death penalty abolition. The death penalty is disappearing in the U.S. Thompson's decision and the public's acceptance of it are just 2 more pieces of evidence. So, will Kohberger even be facing the death penalty? Is Bill Thompson going to seek the death penalty? Are the parents going to insist on it, and will he comply? They said there's 60 days for them to let them know if they're seeking the death penalty. Why have they not already told them? Do they not know if they're seeking the death penalty? We're working out plea deals in the background? That's what it seems like to me. I don't think that Bill Thompson wants to seek the death penalty. I think he's a registered Democrat. Democrats obviously oppose capital punishment. Now, I know that's not across the board, but as far as the party platform, the national party platform, Democrats oppose capital punishment. Idaho is a very Republican state. Republicans are putting in express lines for the death penalty. Even in Idaho, they passed a law where if they can't get the medicine required to give somebody the death penalty sentence, they're allowed to shoot them. Shoot them. Bring back the firing squad. There's no excuse. The police have bullets, right? We know that for a fact. They got bullets. So they're like, we're not putting this off anymore with, oh, we can't get the stuff to do it. If we can't get the stuff, we're just going to shoot them. But Moscow, Latah County, that's right up there in the corner by Washington. And that's a much more liberal area of the state. So, Bill Thompson is the prosecutor for that liberal area of the state. Is he even seeking the death penalty? Or only life in prison? Is this going to be part of a plea bargain? Are we going to get a plea bargain? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to see more, hit that notification bell so you get notified anytime I post. Have a great day, and we'll see you later.